Have you ever raised your voice at your dog? Yelled their name in frustration? Snapped at them for chewing something they shouldn't have? Lost your temper after a long day and let it out in their direction? Most dog owners have. But what was happening inside your dog in that moment is something that will genuinely change how you speak to them. Because your dog doesn't experience your anger the way another person would. They experience it in a way that is older, deeper, and far more lasting than you realize. Let's start with what science has actually found. Number 1. Your dog's brain lights up with fear, not understanding. When you raise your voice at your dog, their brain does not process it the way a human brain would. A person who gets yelled at can contextualize it. They can think, this person is angry because I did this specific thing. They can separate the message from the emotion. They can decide whether the criticism is fair. Your dog cannot do any of that. What your dog's brain does when it hears a raised, harsh, or angry voice is trigger a threat response. The amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear and survival reactions, activates. Stress hormones flood the system. The body prepares for danger, not because your dog is weak or overly sensitive, because that is the only framework their nervous system has for processing that kind of sudden, intense vocal signal. A 2017 study measured cortisol levels in dogs after exposure to different types of human interaction. Dogs who experienced aversive training methods, including yelling, showed significantly elevated cortisol levels, compared to dogs trained with positive reinforcement. And crucially, the cortisol elevation didn't disappear when the interaction ended. It persisted. The stress response outlasted the event that caused it. Your dog is not brushing it off. Long after you've moved on, their body is still responding. Number 2, they know something is wrong, but they don't know what. This is the part that most people find hardest to sit with. When you yell at your dog, they understand that you are upset. They pick up on your tone, your body language. Dogs are among the most socially attuned animals on the planet. Reading human emotional states is something they have been doing for tens of thousands of years. But understanding that you are upset is not the same as understanding why. Dogs live in the immediate present. Their capacity to link your current emotional state to something they did several minutes ago is limited. When you come home and find the garbage tipped over and react with anger, your dog is not experiencing guilt. They are experiencing confusion and fear in response to what you are doing right now. That look that people often describe as their dog looking guilty. Researchers have studied it extensively. A 2009 study found that the so-called guilty look appears regardless of whether the dog actually did anything wrong. It appears in response to an owner's angry or scolding tone and body language. The dog is not showing remorse. But they are showing appeasement. They are trying to make the threat stop by making themselves smaller. They don't know what they did. They only know that you are frightening right now and they need you to stop. Number 3, your voice is the most powerful thing in your dog's world. For your dog, you are not just an owner. You are the center of their social universe, the one whose moods they track constantly, the one whose approval shapes how safe they feel at any given moment. Research from Eötvös-Loránd University has shown that dogs process human voices in a remarkably similar way to how humans do, using the same brain regions to distinguish emotional tone, to pick up on warmth, hostility, happiness, and stress. They don't understand your words, but they read your voice with extraordinary accuracy, and they feel what they read. When that voice, the one that is the foundation of their safety, suddenly becomes loud, sharp, and hostile, it doesn't just startle them, it pulls the floor out from under them. The one thing in their world that is supposed to mean safety has become the source of threat. They cannot leave. They cannot argue back. They cannot explain themselves. They can only try to make themselves as small and unthreatening as possible and wait for it to be over. Number 4, it doesn't actually work and science can prove it. Yelling at your dog is not only emotionally costly for them, it is also genuinely ineffective as a training or correction tool. Multiple studies comparing aversive training methods with reward-based approaches have found consistently that dogs trained with punishment, including vocal punishment, show higher rates of anxiety, more behavioral problems over time, and slower learning than dogs trained with positive reinforcement. A comprehensive study published in 2021 in PLOS ONE, involving over 90 dogs, found that dogs trained with aversive methods had measurably higher cortisol levels, displayed more stress behaviors during training sessions, and showed lower scores on tasks requiring cognitive focus and problem solving. Stress degrades learning. A frightened brain is not a receptive brain. When your dog is in a fear response, the cognitive resources they need to process information are redirected towards survival. You are not teaching them anything in that moment. You are only scaring them. And a dog who is frequently scared of their owner learns one thing above all others: their owner is unpredictable, and unpredictability is the enemy of trust. Number 5. The damage accumulates quietly. One raised voice in a moment of genuine frustration is not going to break your dog. Dogs are resilient. Bonds are durable. A single difficult moment does not undo years of warmth. But patterns do damage, and the damage is subtle enough that most people don't connect it to the cause. A dog who is regularly yelled at or exposed to chronic household stress begins to change. Researchers studying the long-term effects of stress on dogs have found changes in behavior that develop slowly. The dog becomes less likely to try new things. They become more vigilant, scanning their environment more frequently for signs of threat. They may become clingier, or conversely more withdrawn. They may startle more easily. They may show reluctance to approach their owner in certain situations, particularly where negative interactions occurred. These are not personality traits, they are adaptations. Your dog is learning to navigate a world that has some unpredictability. The dog who used to run to greet you enthusiastically but now approaches more carefully is not being aloof. They are being careful, and they learn to be careful from you. Number 6. They forgive faster than they forget. Dogs do not hold grudges. They do not have the cognitive architecture for sustained resentment. After a moment of conflict with their owner, most dogs will attempt to re-establish closeness relatively quickly. They approach, they nudge, they offer their head or their side. This is not them saying it's fine. This is them prioritizing the relationship over the rupture, because the relationship is everything to them. But forgiving quickly is not the same as forgetting the pattern. While a dog won't dwell on a single bad moment, their nervous system keeps a running record of what this environment feels like, how safe it is, how predictable, whether the most important person in their world is a source of comfort or a source of uncertainty. That record is updated constantly, and it shapes how your dog feels in their own home every single day. The dog who forgives you immediately after you lose your temper is the same dog whose baseline stress level is quietly higher. They love you completely. They just also have to manage you. And they are doing that work without you ever knowing. Number 7. What your dog actually needs from you in those moments? So what do you do instead? When the garbage is everywhere, when the shoe is destroyed, when they've done the exact thing you've corrected them for 20 times, and the frustration is completely real and completely human. Real. And the first thing to understand is that your dog's capacity to learn from a correction is almost entirely dependent on timing. For a correction to be meaningful, it needs to happen within 1 to 2 seconds of the behavior. If that window has passed, the moment for correction has passed with it. Walking away and coming back to a mess is not a teachable moment. It is simply an upsetting one. And the most useful thing you can do is take a breath, manage your own reaction, and focus on prevention and setup rather than punishment after the fact. When your dog does something in the moment that needs to be interrupted, a calm, firm, low voice is dramatically more effective. Not because it's kinder, though it is, but because it keeps your dog's stress level low enough that they can actually process what you're communicating. A dog who hears a calm no and a redirect is a dog whose brain is still available for learning. A dog who hears a shout is a dog in survival mode. And for the bigger picture, the behavior you want from your dog is built in the thousands of ordinary moments. not the difficult ones. Every time you respond to good behavior with warmth and enthusiasm, every time your presence means safety and comfort and joy for your dog, you are building the account that everything else draws from. A dog who has a deep, secure, positive relationship with their owner is a dog who is easier to guide, more eager to please, and more resilient when things go wrong. Your voice is the most powerful tool you have with your dog. It can be the thing that makes them feel like the safest creature in the world, or it can be the thing they brace for. They have no choice but to live inside whatever you create with it. Make sure what you're building is something worth living in.